Summer 2025 was an absolutely stacked season for anime, one that I can confidently say had me watching over 20 shows at once for the first time in the past few years. Returning hits like My Dress-Up Darling, Dandadan, and Dr. Stone, modern breakouts like The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity and The Summer Hikaru Died, big surprises like the return of Panty and Stocking, the trauma of Takopi's Original Sin, the unexpectedly good Silent Witch, whatever Turkey is supposed to be, and actual shonen trash. But amongst all of these shows, Ruri no Hoseki, or Ruri Rocks, is one that I wasn't expecting to start occupying a lot of space in my mind. Not only because the show itself is surprisingly educational, but also that the opening theme is arguably the best anisong this season. Not to mention that with a design like Nagi's, even the sweatiest of recluses could get rock hard for mineralogy. This isn't the first, nor certainly will it be the last cute girls doing cute things show that has gotten an absolutely stellar theme song made for it, but it's definitely the first time I've seen this type of music attached to such a lighthearted show. So let's dig into what makes the song so spectacular and how it helps to unearth the hidden gem that is Ruri no Hoseki. The first thing you'll notice when listening to Hikari no Sumika is the bard-like style of music it exudes, reminiscent of similar songs like the original Spice and Wolf's opening and Mushoku Tensei's first opening. On a separate but possibly related note, Hana Hope, who sang the Spice and Wolf remake's first opening, sings the ending theme, while Studio Bind, originally formed solely for the purpose of making Mushoku Tensei, is heading this anime as well. So take with that coincidental info what you will as we delve into the song analysis. It might be strange to think of having some fantasy core bard song for the opening theme of a storyless show about cute girls studying rocks in modern-day Japan, but at its core there are few types of music better suited to this kind of show. After all, if we ignore the modern setting, these girls essentially spend the majority of the show out in nature, using the signs of the land to find the minerals they're researching, an idea that wouldn't sound so out of place in a period piece or fantasy story. To that end, the style of music already places us in a particular mindset that fits well with the overall way in which this narrative conducts itself. Going into the music a little deeper, the track starts out in the key of A Dorian, the Dorian mode being one we most associate with Western-style folk music. An acoustic guitar, bass guitar, bongos, and violins support the simple vocal chants, creating a folky atmosphere with the mix of portable campfire-esque instruments. Adding to the folk sound is the 3/4 time signature, with many, if not most, bard songs written in either simple or compound threes. You'll notice quite quickly that the opening and first verse contain only two chords, those being A minor and D7. Again, this is common for early Western folk song as it gives a sense of push and pull between the minor tonic A and dominant 7th on D while keeping a consistent key center to frame the melody around. This simplicity is also something to keep in mind as we look at the lyrics, focusing on the meaning behind what singer Yasuda Rei meant when she wrote them. Before looking at the lyrics themselves, we can see in this small blurb about the song that she compares the process through which gemstones and other minerals are formed over long periods of time to the process of searching for and finding oneself through the things one lacks. Both take time and patience, but through constant natural growth and change produce new treasures that would initially seem inconceivable. The first line starts off with 水面に映った青、眩しく揺れる, meaning the deep blue color reflecting on the water's surface wavers brightly. 水面に映った青、眩しく揺れる. This is pretty straightforward on its own, but gains a bit more meaning with the second lines, 手探りで探してた足りない私. I fumbled around to find a lacking version of myself. 手探りで探してた足りない私. The singer's feelings about themselves are told quite directly through the lyrics, while the simple chord progressions and rhythms reflect this feeling of ineptitude. Important to note is also how this ties into the characters themselves, specifically Ruri and Seto. Ruri starts out without any interest in minerals aside from their monetary value and objective beauty, a common, though quite shallow way to look at minerals overall. On the flip side, Seto hides her interest in mineralogy due to the way she was ridiculed in the past. While these two come into the world of minerals from completely different places, they both realized that their ways of thinking about it were lacking, and that through the influence of Nagi, Imari, and each other, they can learn to respectively love and accept the things that make them themselves. The pre-chorus starts to change things up, shifting the chords off of our A minor to D7 pattern to give us F, G, A minor, a flat 6-7-1 progression. This repeats again to highlight the very fitting lines, ゆっくりと動き出した何万年も前から. Slowly, it begins to move, from tens of thousands of years ago. As we can see and hear in the music, the changes aren't exactly groundbreaking, but they are a change from before, with a sense of forward momentum given by the rising bass line. The melody line also reflects these changes, moving opposite to the previous rise and fall by moving down from the C to the low E before coming back up to the A at the end. Like how most minerals are formed, this downward motion can be thought of as the compression of minerals deep underground, pushing layers upon layers before finding a way to the surface. This, of course, also pertains to the pressure felt by characters like Seto, who repressed her love of minerals to keep her family from worrying about her future and herself from further ridicule. From here, we get another change in the chords and melody as we're taken into the chorus. We start off with the same rising F, G, A minor progression, but rather than a held A minor at the end of the phrase, the music shifts to a C, continuing to change by moving to a D7, G, and a tense A7, giving us a 3, 4, 7, 5, 4 as we move into a new key for the chorus. This changing progression supports the line この時を約束されていたみたいに Hora, behold how this time was seemingly promised, with the melody going back to its rising and falling pattern before making a big jump at the altered chord progression as it slowly settles back down to a familiar B at the end. Again, thinking in terms of mineralogy, the singer explains the process of how these gems are created, forming over ages of compression until a time at which their final formation is all but inevitable. On the side of human psychology, this is likened more to the idea of perseverance and continuous self-searching, with the idea of refining oneself over time inevitably reaching one's best version of themselves. In both cases, the fact that these lines end on an unstable dominant 7th chord to go into the chorus is also a sign that the best or final version that we can find is really only in comparison to what we observe at the current moment, and that while there is some goal or observable transformation that can be attained, changes will continue to occur even beyond reaching what was initially considered a final stage. The chorus undergoes the largest shift we've yet experienced, with the key changing to D minor. While this is a deceptive cadence, with our ears expecting the dominant A7 to lead into a D major, it still fits within the expectations of where we expected the music to go. Here, the music cycles through D minor, A minor, B flat, F, accompanied by a much more active bass line, drum pattern, and string flourish, while the electric piano fills out the middle textures alongside the steady guitar strumming. We can associate all of these sudden changes in the chorus with the transformation discussed previously, with this being a representation of the final form that both the gems and singer had been moving towards. The lyrics start fairly simply with 風は歌え、雨は語り、たどり着くよ、光の住処へ, meaning the wind sings, the rain speaks, finding the way to where the light dwells. For the most part, these are just pretty, poetic ways of describing the rock and mineral cycles by which minerals and organic matter are weathered, transported, and eventually find their way back to the light. A reference either to the surface or simply by becoming gems, as the colors of gems are only observable by shining light onto them. The next lines follow with 幾重にも重なってるこの星の偶然 The layers upon layers are a coincidence of this planet, working together with the previous lines to more distinctly say that this coincidental layering is what leads to the place where light dwells. If we take a look at the psychological parallel once more, we can liken the weathering to the hardships that one faces throughout life, while the layers piling up are general experiences that compress to form the person in question, coming to light as one's character. Again, this can be observed through Ruri's changing feelings on gems and the research that goes into it, as well as Seto's rekindled love for mineralogy, leading to her wishing to pursue it as a serious career goal. Interesting to note from a musical perspective is the end of the phrase, which has the music going from the expected F to a chromatic rise of B flat, B diminished, C sus2, C sharp diminished to nicely lead back to the repeating pattern starting on D minor. This chromatic build is a representation of the piling layers mentioned in the lyrics, while the bright major chords interspersed with extremely dark diminished chords can be thought of as the nature of the experiences contained within those layers. Each one differs greatly from the previous, but they all work together to form the final product, leading back to the same cycle to repeat the process of growth. With the music repeating underneath, the next lines follow with Kage no mukou, shinjitsu no iro, mitsuke dasu yo, hikari no sumika o. Beyond the shadows, I'll find the color of truth where the light lies. While this has some literal meaning in how the girls search in dark places to find the gems and minerals they're researching, it's more likely a reference to their psychological states once again, with Ruri and Seto both finding their true callings to be in the act of researching these minerals. The final line that closes out the 90-second version of the song is "Hitotsu demo kakete itara, kitto deaete nakatta ne." If even one thing had been missing, I'm sure we never would have met. This nicely brings together both the mineral analogies and psychological aspects of the song right at the end. The one thing is left lyrically ambiguous so as to refer to the components that need to come together to form some kind of crystal, while simultaneously referring to the experiences that led the characters to where they are. Never having met can also be associated with the characters finding the gems or each other, as both would work in the context of these ambiguous lyrics. This all comes to a close with a series of D minor chords, eventually closing out on a lone D minor 7 played on the guitar, giving a classic open sound to imply the continuation of the story that anisongs so often contain, but one that seems to make an extra amount of sense given the nature of this song. Ruri no Hoseki is a series that most likely won't go down as a major player from this year, and potentially even this season, simply due to the fact that cute girls doing cute things shows don't garner much widespread attention at all. Yet for those who do take the time to sit down and enjoy it, there is an odd level of depth to it that can be felt through all aspects of its storytelling. And for this kind of show to have brought such an excellent opening song into the world to help move that story along, I can only do my part to help push this one on to anyone that has yet to find this summer's hidden gem in the place where the light dwells. This was definitely not the show that I thought I was going to be talking about after doing videos on Trigun, Dungeon Meshi, Spice and Wolf, Freeren, and Orb, but I can't even deny that it's been one of the shows I've been most excited about watching new episodes of week after week. This analysis may have only been about the opening theme, but the ending theme is also easily one of the best this season, and don't even get me started on the OST by two of the Atelier series composers. Anyway, what do you guys think of this opening theme, and do you agree with me that it's one of the best in this summer 2025 season? Let me know down in the comments below, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel. I'll be posting this transcription over on my Patreon, so if you want to get access to that, as well as any of the other transcriptions I've done for any of my other analytical videos, make sure to go over to Patreon and support me there. Thanks as always for watching, and I will see you in the next one.